Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm talking all about shin splints and how to get rid of them. I'll be covering some of the best stretches and strengthening exercises, as well as providing you guys with some soft tissue release techniques, so make sure you stay till the end. So without any further ado, let's get into it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be back making new content here on YouTube. If you have been following me for the last little while, you'll know that I am a therapist. I'm actually an athletic therapist and I've just officially become an osteopathic practitioner. That is why I've been taking some time off, is just to finish my studies so I can give YouTube 100% of my focus. So now that I'm back, I have seen all your guys' comments about videos that you guys would like me to make. So excited to get to those over the next few weeks and months. But today's video is all about how to get rid of shin splints. So shin splints, also known as medial tibial stress syndrome, is referred to pain along the shin bone. So shin splints is essentially an overuse injury. We often see this in runners or athletes that are ramping up their activities. So this increased activity usually puts more stress on the muscle, tendon, and bone. And over time, when that repetitive stress is placed on the bone, that muscle and fascia starts to pull away, creating that inflammatory response. We often refer to this as periostitis, and that's inflammation of the periosteum, so that fascial layer around the bone. In these acute phases, this is when you really want to reduce your activity. You don't need to stop completely, but you need to modify your activity so then that way you're not constantly placing so much stress on the muscle as well as the bone. So the anterior shin splints refers to the tibialis anterior muscle. This is the muscle that activates dorsiflexion of the foot. And then the posterior shin splint is actually the tibialis posterior, or the soleus muscle. And that's just on the lower part of the tibia or the shin bone. And the tib post muscle is when you're doing plantar flexion or you're pushing and pointing your toe down towards the floor. So if you're in the first 2 weeks of having shin splints, you're in that more acute subacute stage, and this is the important time to make sure that you're icing. And at this stage you can do gentle stretching, but you really want to avoid strengthening exercises or doing soft tissue massage, because the last thing you want to do is increase the inflammation that's in the area. Now, if you've had shin splints for longer than 2 weeks and it's kind of getting more to the chronic stage, this is when we want to start targeting doing a little bit more strength exercises and being a little bit more aggressive with soft tissue release and massage. So make sure you stay tuned, because I'm going to show you guys some of the soft tissue release techniques that you can do on yourself. So let's dive right into the treatment. Okay, so we're gonna start with the posterior shin splint exercises. So we're gonna start with toe walking. With this one, you want to go onto the balls of your toes and you are going to walk for about 15 to 20 steps, trying to maintain the weight on the tips of your toes and slowly controlling each walk. So you're trying to stay as stable as possible without letting your heels drop. And then you're gonna do 3 sets of 15 to 20 steps. This exercise is gonna help strengthen those calf muscles and the tib post, so it's a little bit more of that isometric contraction because we're maintaining you in that flexion position, and you're having to do that for the 15 to 20 reps. The next one is a strength exercise, but also a little bit of a stretch as well. So it's eccentric calf raises. So if you have stairs at home or you have a stool, you're going to stand with the balls of your toes on the step. Then you're gonna keep your feet shoulder width apart. I want you to make sure that you hold on to something so you don't fall back. You're gonna slowly drop your heels down towards the floor for about 10 seconds. And this is that eccentric phase. And then you're going to contract, raising the heels back up. And you're gonna do this one 10 to 20 reps. See how you feel in terms of pain. If there's any discomfort, you can modify the range. You don't have to go all the way down. And then you're gonna do 3 sets of 10 to 20 repetitions. Now for the anterior shin splint, we are going to do heel walks. You're gonna do 15 to 20 reps, maintaining the toes elevated, slowly controlling this movement, doing the 15 to 20 repetitions, and doing 3 sets. This is gonna be that isometric contraction now of the tibialis anterior muscle. So this way we're strengthening that muscle now in the front. The next exercise, I want you to find a bench. You're gonna have a seat and you're going to do toe taps. So actively raising the toe up and then slowly dropping it down, doing 20 to 30 repetitions. This will also help to strengthen that anterior tibialis muscle. So now we're gonna do toe raises against the wall. So you wanna lean against a wall, take a couple steps forward, plant your heels, make sure that it's nice and stable. You're gonna raise your toes up towards your nose, making sure that you keep your knees extended on this one, and then slowly controlling your feet back down. You're gonna start with 10 to 15 reps. This one we can work our way up and build to 20 to 30 repetitions. And then now this is another progression, a little bit more challenging. If you have a kettlebell, fantastic. If you don't, you can always use a resistance band strapped around your foot and then tied somewhere down to the floor. So if you have the kettlebell, you're gonna place it around your foot. Make sure that you have a shoe on because it's a little bit more comfortable. Make sure you have your leg fully extended. So if you have access to a bench, make sure that the whole leg is on the bench except for the ankle. So slowly, you're going to raise your toe up to your nose and then slowly controlling this back down. So you want to start at a pretty light weight, maybe even 5 to 10 pounds, and then slowly building your way back up. This is definitely a challenging exercise, but this is a great one to really help strengthen that tibialis anterior muscle. Depending on what stage of healing you're at, you don't need to do all of these right away. Really just see what feels okay and which ones don't create any pain, because again, it's so important to listen to your body. If it causes you pain, stop. Wait, test it out the next time, and then see if you can progressively get to the next exercise, okay? So the stretch for the tibialis anterior muscle is going to be a kneeling shin stretch. So you're gonna get down on the ground, and this really depends on how much ankle mobility you have. So just be careful with this one. You want to basically go into almost like a child's pose position, kneeling down with your feet flexed underneath you. And you're gonna use your body weight to slowly press your hips down and towards your heels. And that's going to splay or open up the front of the ankle, creating that stretch through the tibialis anterior muscle. This one I want you to try holding it anywhere from 3 sets of 30 seconds. And then say for example, if your ankle mobility is slightly limited, well, maybe you wanna actually look at another video that I've done about ankle mobility first, and that might help you get a little bit more range in order to do this stretch. So I'll also link that one down in the description below for you guys to check out, just in case you need mobility exercises first. So now finally onto the soft tissue release techniques that I mentioned in the very beginning. I'm gonna show you a few different ways. One you're gonna do with your hands, and the other ones you can use a few different tools in order to help you release the muscles. So let's start with the foam roller. So if you have access to a foam roller, and this one you probably want a little bit of a softer one because this area is pretty tender in general. You're going to be kneeling on the foam roller, and I suggest doing it with both legs just to take some of the pressure off. You're going to place it just in front of the shins, and what I want you to think of is rolling your feet inwards a little bit. So this is going to allow you to get more onto the muscle rather than being directly onto the bone, because that's not going to be very comfortable. And you're going to use your arms to basically roll you back and forward. So this one's a good option, but out of all of the ones that I'm going to show you, this is my least favorite, because to me this foam rolling technique is really just adding compression and rolling over top of the tissue. We're not actually working on separating the fascial layer and the muscle layer, and that's going to have the biggest impact for you for your rehab. So the next one is going to be cupping. So if you don't have cups, I'll link a couple options below for you guys to check out. They're inexpensive and they're a great way to release the tissue. What I love about this is it creates that suction, so it pulls a layer of the skin, the muscle, and the fascia all apart, so creates a little bit more separation, as well as you can use those to massage back and forth, which is fantastic. You can actually do it for the shins as well, but for this one I'm just going to show you the plain cupping and then the active motion. So you're going to place the cup onto the tib ant muscle, and I want you to do it when the muscle is flexed. So you're gonna basically have your ankle up towards your nose, and the reason being is that we're shortening that muscle. So now we're gonna go through plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, so flexing the ankle up and down, and this is what's creating that separation between the fascial layer and the muscle. Okay, so with the cup, you can leave it in one position for about 5 repetitions, so the ankle moving up and down, and then slowly move that cup around as needed. So this next one that we're gonna do, I'm actually gonna use, is called rock floss. So it's actually just this compression band that you're gonna wrap around from basically starting around the bottom of the ankle and then up towards the top of the calf, creating compression on the muscle bellies. And then you're gonna go through the plantar flexion and dorsiflexion just like the previous one with the cups. And you can also do this one doing the calf raises as well. So it's that whole idea of that we're creating that compression, so we're basically separating the fascial layer and the muscle layer to help take a lot of that pressure off of the bone. This one you can do about 10 to 20 reps. And this is gonna feel so good after because there's gonna be a lot less tension through that whole area, and you're gonna increase circulation because it's gonna have better fluid flow through the tissue. And now for the final one, we are going to do soft tissue release with our hands. So the first one is gonna be stripping the muscle. So depending on what stage you're at, if the muscle is still pretty acute, or like the area right around the shin is, then what I suggest you start doing is working more around the muscle belly, and then you can slowly work your way closer to the shin bone over time. So you're gonna use your thumbs. You're slowly going to basically add compression and then slowly draw your thumbs down towards the bottom of the shin, and doing this about 5 times, working your way around the tissue. And then the other one is going to be a pin and stretch. So this one you're going to use your fingers. You're going to grasp the muscle, and then you're going to do that movement of plantar flexion and dorsiflexion, and this is basically a pin and stretch, and then your ankle's having to move the muscle up and down through the tissue as you kind of pin and hold a certain section. So this is great if there's a certain section of the muscle that's really stuck, then you can really target this area and then work your way all the way down the shin. So just remember, don't work through pain, just see how you feel through each exercise, modify the sets and reps if you need to, and slowly work your way up. Active rest, not full rest, okay? And other preventative options are maybe looking at seeing if this is something that's constantly reoccurring for you. Maybe look at getting a movement analysis done. If you've recently just changed your shoes, or if you're using old shoes, one of the biggest things I always say is if you're a runner or if you're very active, is that you should be switching your shoes about every 5 to 6 months, depending on the amount of use. And also, if it's a new pair of runners that you had gotten, maybe it's just not the right fit for you. So that's something to consider as well. So one of the other things is you can use compression socks. As I mentioned before, the muscle really likes to be compressed against the bone because how shin splints starts in the first place, pulling on the bone. So we want to modify that or reduce it completely depending on how intense the pain is. So compression socks are great for that. And then of course, adding stretches, strengthening exercises, making sure that you continue these ones as you return back to your sport. You really want to prevent this from reoccurring, and you really want to prevent this from creating risk factors such as stress fractures or compartment syndrome. So one important thing that I wanted to mention was that with shin splints, often I see this with people who have limited mobility in their ankles. And so it's really, really important that if you have limitations in your ankle mobility, is that you improve that first, and then you start adding these stretches and strengthening exercises, because you want to make sure that you have a good base, and mobility is key when it comes to anything really. You need to make sure you have full mobility, then you can work through the stretches and strengthening exercises. So if you have a limited ankle mobility, I'm gonna link that video up here, but also in the description below, so you can check that one out if this is an issue for you. Thank you guys so much for checking out today's video. I hope it was helpful, and if it was, please leave a comment below. I'm so happy to be back shooting more content for you all on injury rehab tips and prehab tips. So if you guys have any topics that you would like me to cover in the coming weeks, please leave a comment below. And if you liked today's video, like it, subscribe if you're not already, and that little bell that you see down there, click that so you get notified when I release new videos. Anyways, I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye. Okay, here we go. I'm just a little bit nervous. For those runners, oh no, it's not, I'm not gonna say that, no. Or your push off with your running. Or your push off with your running. So you can let me know and I'll get back to you guys. Okay, wait, no. Until basically can't cup anymore, oh my God. Go comfortably without. I knew this was gonna happen. Okay, get it together, Jessica. I hope people will like the purple. We'll see. I kind of like the purple. It's girly.